Who's ready to win the day in sports? I know you are. Welcome to Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FantasyGuru.com, Monday through Friday, noon to 1 p.m. Eastern. I'm Justin Fensterman, and let's break everything down from a fantasy sports perspective. Good evening. Wow. Good afternoon. Good start by me. Good afternoon to all the East Coasters out there. Good morning to all the West Coasters and everybody in between. Good mid-morning to you. My name is Justin Fensterman, trying not to be as much of a mess as I normally am, and welcome to your midweek madness edition of Fantasy Sports Daily here on the Elite Plus Network, powered by the good old FG, FantasyGuru.com, where you can find all of my work. I'm your lead NBA analyst. I also dabble in the football content too, and beyond this stream, which I'm on every single Wednesday. This stream airs all week long, Monday through Friday. Ray Flowers hosts all the other days, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Ray's actually going to be on with Jeff Mans on the Elite Sports Show, which is on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. That's Channel 87, 3 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday. Catch Uncle Jeffy, Pappy Mans, Jimmy as I call him. I've told that story before on his One Man's Opinion podcast, which drops normally every Wednesday as a special post-draft one that came out last weekend. That just shows that when you love what you do in this business, it's not, I got to record another podcast. You look forward to recording that. Jeff could have waited until Wednesday to put out a whole complete draft analysis, hour and a half manifesto. He could have done that. But when you're very passionate about sports, when you're very passionate about what you do, you just want to get it out there. And that's why I thought it was really cool that last week, boom, Saturday evening, you got a special edition of One Man's Opinion, Jeff's podcast, that could also be caught on the Sirius XM app. Comes out every single week, every Wednesday. And I'm the same way. When I record my podcast, Fensty's Basketball Diaries, which you can find and FantasyGuru.com, also part of the Elite Plus network. You go to the Elite Plus tab, you click that, you see everything. You see One Man's Opinion podcast, you see my Fensty's Basketball Diaries podcast, this stream. You can catch all past episodes as well when you do that. So it's just a great, great time to be a sports fan. We're full-blown baseball, basketball in the NBA playoffs, the NFL draft just happening, which gives us all the football itch that we want to scratch. So if you want to be part of one elite mafia, boom, right here, you go to fantasyguru.com/join-today/ and with that, you sign up for the VIP Platinum, you get everything, all of our football, baseball included, with all the other sports that we have to offer. We're doing PGA. Hell, we got the Kentucky Derby coming up here. Our guy Slappy White going to be slapping some bets down there in our Discord, which you have full access to when you buy the VIP Platinum plan. You could also buy our betting package. You want to try us out a month, it's like $60 for a month, and you get access to all of our betting that we put out there for that time, and you have many sports to choose from. Not having the best week, let's just say, in one sport, you could go to another sport. But I'll tell you this, with baseball, it has been fire. Basketball, we're coming off a good night here. Jeff hit a nice parlay. I had a parlay and a single bet as well. I actually hit a couple of single bets. I went 3-1. I had one of my rare 0 for nights. I mean, I've had a decent amount of 1 and 2s, but never really 0 and 3s, or at least in the last few months. But that's how we come back. We don't overbet. We don't overdo it. We don't try to get too cute, and we fight our way back to gain a profit. That's why we hang in there, and we do. And I'll just say this very quickly, and I don't think this needs to be said, but in our Discord, since we talk about what we have to offer, FantasyGuru.com, you come to me after a 2-game slate for NBA and you tell me that, hey, I'm done with DFS. I haven't been able to cash in the playoffs. I'm sorry. What do you want me to say? You write that on a Discord feed. What are you expecting me to say? I'm not going to beg you to stay. I'm not going to beg you to play. You've reached your limit. See you in October. But you don't need to write that comment. I'm just going to say that. I'll put that out there and then put it to bed. Is that if you're done, you're done. It's been a fun season. Playoffs aren't easy. It's very hard to differentiate in the playoffs. You have to pay for a stud in these playoff lineups. Still trying to give a core 4 where you could spend money. But for some of you and for a couple that have written in Discord, oh, screw NBA playoffs, DFS, I can't cash. Well, then I don't know what to tell you at that point. I'm done for the year. I'm not going to beg you to stay. I'm just not. The content's going to keep rolling, though. And there are some of you that love that the articles come out not only from the DFS side, but if you're also here from the wagering side, and I make sure to put this stream link every Wednesday in both our DFS NBA Discord channel at Fantasy Guru and our NBA betting channel too, so that you guys can learn and understand that from the articles that we're writing up, you can take away tidbits from them and place bets. You don't only have to rely on bets the site is putting out. You can also look at the article, and a few of you have done that, and it's made you more in tune with some of these teams. And so that's why I just want to say that when you write something in Discord, I don't mind the negativity. I understand it's going to happen. Sometimes people react. Sometimes people are wasted and they decide to write something, whether it's a little borderline disrespectful or not. I understand that happens. And when people lose, their emotions get to them. But just writing in a Discord where we're continuing to churn out the content after a bad night, I'm done with NBA playoffs. I'm done with the DFS. I'm done for the year. Okay, well, I'm not going to beg you. Because at the end of the day, we talked about this, the Colonel Guile, Jean-Claude Van Damme line from the movie Street Fighter back in the mid-90s here. I mean, who wants to go home? Who wants to rock with the Elite Mafia for more DFS NBA playoff coverage, which we will have. We will have all throughout the rest of the playoffs and betting too. We're going to have some bad betting nights. We bounce back the next night. The fight never stops. And that's very important to me in fantasy sports. I'm just someone that never gives up. That's just who I am. Maybe if I'm having a bad betting streak, I'll lay off a little bit. I'll make sure I'm not betting the max that I normally would bet just until I heat up again. But I still do the research, even if I'm not writing bets on specific teams. And I wrote them up the previous 5 times they were on the slate. I'm still looking. And that's what we've done this year. And that's what made this a profitable NBA season from the wagering side and certainly from the DFS side as well. So just wanted to say that because at the end of the day, this is a stream, but it's also a conversation too. And there's a lot of respect that's part of all of this. And I'm someone that's very into respect and being as respectful as possible. And speaking of respect, want to pay respect to the thread of the day here. You can't really see it here. I might as well get rid of the link. Boom. Timberwolves jersey, Kevin Garnett back in the day. Anything is possible. I know he was with the Celtics when he said that, but I'll say this. When he went back to Minnesota in his final year, I loved seeing that. Kevin Garnett was so much fun to watch. Just amazing. I'll say this. Overall, better forward of all time, Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan is top 10 in NBA history. Hard to dispute that. And I've had a few people argue that Kevin Garnett was better than Tim Duncan. Kevin Garnett was great. Kevin Garnett won a ring. Kevin Garnett was an excellent player. But Kevin Garnett, while he had more flash than Tim Duncan, who had no flash, when it came to skill set, what he could do, bringing up the ball, he had some better handles. If you want to watch fun videos, looking up weird things on the internet, Kevin Garnett, old school Minnesota. You look up Kevin Garnett, 1996, 1997, and you go down that YouTube rabbit hole and you see exactly what he could do while on the drive. A lot of spin moves. The way he used his pivot foot was absolutely amazing. And I love that I have this jersey. And as of right now, this is one of the very few jerseys that I could actually fit in. No, actually, I got half my things. Now, taking off a little bit of the weight. I told you guys that I would let you know how that's going. The night eating has calmed down just a little bit, but there's still work to do. Let's get down to business. Let me tell you what's going on this show. I've wasted enough of everybody's time here. So let's talk some NBA. Let's talk some futures. Let's talk about where we stand in these series. Armando Marsal is going to stop by in just a little bit to talk about tonight's 2-game NBA slate, but also some NFL draft reaction, which I know Armando was on with Ray Flowers yesterday to talk about best landing spots, worst landing spots, and all of that for these prospects. But for today, I just want to ask Armando where a few of these guys at this point he could see going in fantasy football drafts. And I'll tell you this right now, one player, and I saw in one mock draft, which I don't know if this was taken because of shock value, because maybe the participant wanted to get everybody else talking about it. But I saw one draft where Ashton Genty in fantasy football draft went in the first round. And it makes me wonder what that is going to mean for everybody else moving forward and whether or not you're going to be able to spend, while he should be in line for a ton of carries. It's not like he has a ton of competition there in Vegas, but still, at the end of the day, very interested to see where he starts to go in drafts. And I want to ask Armando where he would go and if he would end up taking him. It's a fun conversation to have. But for now, let's talk about what's going on in the NBA, because we don't have too much to worry about tonight with the injury front. It's a Western Conference night. It'll be fun seeing Golden State and Houston actually at 7:30 p.m. Eastern tonight. So don't get fooled and think that the slate is going to start at 9 p.m. and you have all the time in the world. Slate is starting at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. I will be writing the write-up for the night, and it will be up at fantasyguru.com a little bit later. I'm looking up the betting market. I'll say this. With these series, it hasn't been easy for me to have a read. If there was any night that I'd potentially take off of betting, it would be a night like this. But I'm always going to look, and there's got to be something that I can find. I was very close the other night. I didn't read the game right, unfortunately. So that is that. So I'll take a look at the betting market a little bit later on. But that doesn't mean we can't take a look at futures and everything too, because before I talk about tonight's slate, let's talk a little bit about what's gone on in these playoffs, because we have a few teams that are set for the second round, including the Cleveland Cavaliers. They're going to go up against the Indiana Pacers. That series is going to start before the next time we hang out. So I'll say this about this Pacers-Cavs series. Cavs are giving up some rebounds, and that's where we can still look at guys like Tyrese Halliburton. We can look at Andrew Nembhard. We can look at Aaron Nesmith. Maybe not as much Nesmith, because the midcourt defense, and if DeAndre Hunter is on him, it's going to make those shots tougher. And if he's not seeing volume, that's going to be tough to bet on. But Andrew Nembhard, that's someone that we're going to be watching early on in this series, because his props are going to continue to be low, and hopefully Halliburton's stay when it comes to his rebounding props at about 4.5. Last night, I triple parlayed, three-legger, Nesmith, Nembhard, and Halliburton all to score 10 points. Thought it was very attainable. They've been doing it consistently, and they all take enough shots. And Nesmith especially, who was on the short end of the stick leading up to that point when it came to shot volume, he actually was getting it going early, and he's been the most efficient. Nembhard has been getting the 13 to 14 shots per game. That's enough for me. You're going to put his prop at 10.5, 11.5. I'm going to take that, because Andrew Nembhard doesn't need to only shoot threes in order to be effective. So these are things that we can think about for the next series. On the other side, I mean, we got to see what's going on with the health of Darius Garland, making sure that he's back to 100%. But teams have been able to really get to the Pacers front court, and that's where we're going to be looking at Jared Allen a little bit to start. Both of these teams' front courts should be productive against each other, but I immediately think of Mobley and Allen first in what's going to be a very fast-paced series. A lot of offense, man. This is going to be like you're watching the 2000s Mavericks, not the championship team. The 2000s was the ones that didn't play any defense, and it was a race to 120 back when scoring 120 was just wild. Now it happens just about every single game. But even back then, it was just so wild. But that's how it's going to be. It's going to be big-time run and gun, especially if Garland is hurting. The Pacers are going to want to keep the speed up. The Pacers have a tendency of not shooting well to start, but then, boom, like a fireball, they're able to fight back. So while I think Cleveland wins that series, I think Indiana's offense is going to give them a little bit of trouble. There were a couple of games, couple instances, at least one of the games where Miami gave them a little bit of trouble, and Miami isn't the team that Indiana has. So when it comes to props especially, I'm going to be looking a lot in that series with a very healthy game environment. For those that might be unfamiliar with what I'm talking about with game environment and game flow, I work a lot with pace, because pace produces possessions. And I look at those teams, and while we're hanging out right now, let's look up some pace charts so I can kind of show you what exactly I look for when I start betting, because I'll say this, pace of play is just so big in this league. And it changes sometimes when it comes to the playoffs. For instance, you're seeing a team in the playoffs like the New York Knicks, for instance. They run in the regular season a very slow pace. But in this series against Detroit, they've been playing up to Detroit's speed a lot. And that series, despite it being what it is, which is a very gritty series, very physical, shooting not so great overall, but both Detroit and the Knicks are, of all the playoff teams, top 6 teams in pace of play. So that's where things change a little bit. That's where we have to look at those drivers and really consider them. So that's why I look to see who has that big pace advantage. Oklahoma City, they run at a very fast pace. They have in the playoffs, they have in the regular season. So whoever faces them at this point between Denver and Golden State, and Denver right now ranks 9th among the playoff teams in pace of play, and the Warriors are tied for 11th, they're going to be at a major pace advantage. That's why I've really tried when it comes to Clippers props to look, or rather the Clippers-Nuggets series. I tried to, even though, and maybe I should have gone back, but when a player is questionable, didn't play the game before, I kind of lay off that player. But we were rocking with Russell Westbrook for a couple of games, being able to cash in on his point prop. We might be able to go back to that if it's low enough. But the Clippers, they have the big-time pace advantage. So that's where you want to look at the guys like maybe a Norman Powell for points or Kawhi Leonard for points, rebounds. He's had an outstanding series overall. It kind of shocks me. I thought the Clippers were going to win last night. Kind of shocks me that Denver has a 3-2 lead in this series. I thought it was going to be the Clippers ending things there, but no. So, or ending things, at least taking the series lead. I still think that the Clippers, the Nuggets need to shut out the Clippers here. They do. Because if the Clippers, I'll tell you this, the Clippers win game 6, you're most likely going to see a bet up there with the Clippers over the Nuggets. I just think the Clippers are a better defensive team. I just do. They've proven it all year long. I know that Jokic is a hard player to stop. Aaron Gordon has done a good job. Jamal Murray, pretty good job as well. But overall in the series, they've had a lot of good contributions from players that have been kind of letting down or a little bit banged up. I mean, I kind of thought there was a correlation, and I talked about this last night with Ray Flowers on the Elite Sports Game Time show, which airs, by the way, Monday through Friday on Fantasy Sports Radio, 8 p.m. Eastern. And I talked about this with him that if Russell Westbrook is in, Christian Brown loses his value to me. And I was seeing Russell Westbrook be utilized a little bit more, but now the balance is kind of shifting a little bit because Brown has stepped up over the last few games. So I'm still all right with Westbrook as a pivot point for betting and props and also in DFS at times because he's going to be out there. He's going to be shooting. And let's not forget, he did wield them to game 1. That was, to me, looking like the Clippers were going to win, but he kept the Nuggets in there, even though the Clippers were knocking. So I think at the end of the day, the Clippers win this in 7 games. But if the Nuggets are going to win this series, they got to close it out in game 6 because I just think the Clippers have a very strong defensive front. They haven't been able to stop Kawhi. Ivica Zubac has had a lot of success in that post. And even you're seeing some of their other guys too have success. Norman Powell has had success. Chris Dunn, success. James Harden's been pretty good. So that defense can really slow you down. So, yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But, I mean, if the Nuggets end up winning, I don't think they beat the Thunder. The Clippers, I think the Clippers push them. But at the end of the day, Thunder go on to the Western Conference Finals. So that's what we're looking at from that side of it. From the east side of it right now, as I mentioned, we've got the Pacers taking on the Cavs in the second round. The Celtics await the winner of Knicks Pistons, and the Knicks have a 3-2 lead. The Knicks historically, and when I say historically, in the last 30 years, they've had so much trouble closing out series at home. It's almost comical. They got to make things tough for them. They've gone on the road a bunch to close out series, and I think that they can hang on and they can win. They have not shot well. It's really hard. I don't know how you're excited to be a Knicks fan. As someone who roots for the Knicks, I have a lot of trouble. Really, and this is someone who's, please, I remember the 2000s. I remember most of the 2010s when you barely saw this team in the playoffs and you just, all you wanted, you're sitting there in 2016 and, you have one playoff appearance at that point since 2004, and you'd be begging. I know I was begging for this team to be able to sniff the playoffs. And now that they've made it a few times, you want to see them compete, but they've shot so poorly, the Knicks. They've shot very poorly. I really don't know. And we're going to look up some stats right now. Look, end of the day, are either of these teams beating Boston? Hell no. Neither team is beating Boston. I know that and everybody can tell me Detroit has played Boston well. It's different now. It's different in the postseason. It's just going to be. And Detroit has had a lot of trouble in the second half closing out games. That's been a big problem for them. But, when looking up field goal percentage at this point, the Knicks, literally, it's weird to me that there are teams that have actually shot worse than the Knicks this postseason. It's weird to me that the Lakers have actually shot worse than the Knicks. The Warriors, too. But the Rockets, the Magic, the Knicks look stagnant. The Knicks look flat. The Knicks don't look threatening. They've battled in some fourth quarters. We've seen it all season. This team definitely more of a second half team. But it's just, how can you be motivated by what you're seeing in this series from either team? It just looks crappy. And it looks like Boston's going to wipe the floor with whoever they face here. They've owned the Knicks this year. The Knicks played them well one game, and that was a recent game. That's it. Jason Tatum's hurt, crushing the Magic. So at the end of the day, it's very hard to be excited. And it's very hard to even think that either of these teams can beat Boston. Cade Cunningham has done a great job. And that's why we'll continue to try to get Cade in our DFS lineups for as long as we can. For tomorrow night, we'll be able to. I won't be on the write-up, but I'm sure Scotty Bonder, who will be on the write-up, will include Cade Cunningham as probably a centerpiece because the Knicks haven't been able to stop him. And the Knicks are horrible at guarding guards. And that falls on Jalen Brunson. For as good as he is, the Knicks have been trying to go one-on-one a lot with Brunson. And they shouldn't be doing that. They should be attacking full force. You should have Anunoby attacking, not settling on shots. The Knicks have played this series so poorly, and they've tried to beat them from the arc. They've sucked from the arc, and it hasn't looked good. And I'll say this from the Detroit side. They've had some guys that have come through at times. Tim Hardaway Jr. has had his games where he's scored a lot, also putting in the rebounding too, definitely stepping up his game in this playoff series. But outside of that, Duren is in and out with the offense. Tobias Harris has been helping as much as he can, but OG Anunoby is a hard player to shake defensively. They don't really have that much talent, Detroit, offensively, to be able to keep up with teams like the Celtics, like the Cavs, even like the Pacers. I think if you put the Pistons and the Pacers in a series, I think Indiana wins it pretty easily. I think Indiana's offense is that good. We saw it last year. It's the same thing, the same exact thing. We saw it last year. We're seeing it again this year. And we're seeing just how deadly Tyrese Halliburton can be when he decides to shoot. So I find that all very fun. And it's going to be a good rest of the playoffs. And I'll be covering that. Not only will I be covering it at fantasyguru.com, but I'll actually be on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio for DFS Dunks and Dimes tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern. And then I'll be on Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern. Whether we have game action or not, and we will for sure for at least Thursday, but tonight will determine where we're at for game sixes for Friday. I'll talk all things futures there. We'll have updated odds, and I'll talk about how we're going to strategize and how we're going to beat the books the rest of the way. It's almost sad that there's maybe a month and a half left of NBA action, but it's been a lot of fun. We had a very great, for those that are unfamiliar, and again, I know this sounds like me trying to sell you something, but for the last few months overall, we've had a very profitable betting season at fantasyguru.com. I'm very proud of that. I am, because there are definitely times of struggle early on. January really stunk, but we kept with the process. We didn't change too much. We started to really go back to the well on players. We caught trends early, and we are right now. And I'm just proud of everybody because this stuff isn't easy. NBA is very hard. There's a lot of variance. And that's why, to you guys that decide to stop playing, I'm not going to beg you to stay for DFS because if it's hard, it's just tough. And it's tough at this point with 2 game slates to really separate yourself. Someone who's just awesome, though, always makes the day brighter, always makes sure his dues are paid in life and in the gym and in the sauna. It's our guy. You also see him with Ray Flowers every single Tuesday. It's Armando Marsal from fantasyguru.com. Stop by to talk some hoops and some football. What's going on, Armando? How are you?
I'm doing good, Fensty. How about yourself, man? Just happy to be here, man. Happy to be here. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Let me ask you this, dude. When you see this Minnesota Timberwolves jersey, besides Kevin Garnett, who's the first player that pops into your mind?
Anthony Edwards. Like it just really is Anthony Edwards. Like he is a superstar, huh? Like,
you know what, man? I'll tell you this. He's a stud, but he thinks he's a superstar. It's weird, man. In this age of, a lot of more on the humble athletes, Anthony Edwards is out there. He will tell you to your face that he's the best shooting guard in this league.
I love that he plays with that confidence. Like I truly, and I love watching him play. You could tell he plays with confidence. I think he's earning that right now. I really do. I think he's having a great series. And I think when you look at this team right now, you look at Anthony Edwards, I think they're a serious threat right now. If he continues to play at this level, I think this team is going to be a serious threat moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be interesting because the winner of this faces the winner of Houston Golden State, and both of these series going on tonight. So I'm very excited about the Western Conference night. Kind of interesting seeing a West game at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. And then yesterday we had the slate start at 6 p.m. Eastern. I literally went to our editor, Rob Povey, in the morning. I'm like, hey, man, look, okay, we have a 6 p.m. Eastern start. If I hand this article in early, can we make sure we get it up there so everybody can see the 4-game slate? So a rare 6 p.m. Eastern start for NBA basketball. So let me ask you this, Armando. When it comes down to the Lakers, I was originally going to couch this question as, is the price point for LeBron James too expensive? But then the last 2 games, he's just exploded. So let me ask you this, man. For this 2-game slate, who would you rather prioritize with the season on the line for the Lakers between Luka and LeBron?
I would probably say LeBron. I'm going to go to LeBron. I think not like $9K on DK. I think that's a little bit too cheap for LeBron, right? Like when you're looking at the ceiling and whatnot. So he's the one that I'm going to be going here tonight if I have to choose between the two. I think he should be a priority play regardless. I think he's someone that you definitely want to get in. I think when you look at both of these series, I'm still giving the Lakers a shot here. I'm not, counting them out. When you have guys like LeBron and Luka, you really can't rule these teams out, right? And LeBron has, been here before. He's been to the postseason so many times. So I'm gonna ride LeBron tonight, man. I'm gonna. He's probably gonna be in my lineup.
I'm probably with you there. And by the way, I saw this stat that was put out there by Underdog, actually, in elimination games, and it's no surprise. We've seen this before from LeBron, but he's averaging about over 33 points per game, as is Luka in elimination games. So, look, the thing with the Lakers is they don't have really many other go-to weapons on offense. They have Austin Reeves, who's been playing better, but outside of that, it's really just Luka and LeBron. So whether this is an elimination game or not, this is exactly what we're looking at moving forward. And I'm going to give the Lakers, I know they're favored tonight, which was a little bit surprising to me considering they're down 3-1. But I'll give the Lakers a shot this game. But I really think Minnesota, then, if Minnesota loses, they figure it out. One of the reasons, Armando, size. And they haven't even had Rudy Gobert playing well. But because of what Julius Randle, what Jaden McDaniels, what Naz Reid was doing to them early in the series, that's been a big problem for the Lakers.
Yeah, this was one of the things that we discussed when they made that trade, right? Like they were going to have issues with size, and we're seeing it firsthand here in this first series. I mean, McDaniels is just clearing up the boards. Like, I mean, Randall's just dominating the paint. Like, they're going at will in the paint. They're grabbing boards here. It's showing here that they need size. I know that they had that trade on the board that they overturned with I forgot that
Mark Williams.
There you go, Mark Williams. And that would have helped them out in this situation, but they're clearly missing that big man. I definitely think it's something they're going to have to address next season because of that. I do think I agree. I think tonight they could extend the series, but I think this might be over by game 6 if they do extend it. And I think even if they were to overcome this series, I think the size is going to eventually catch up to them here in the postseason, unfortunately.
Yeah, and let's just say, I mean, they end up having to face, I mean, either of these teams here. They end up having, I mean, the Warriors, I know that they don't have the size, but they've definitely been playing tough in the paint with what they do have, so that would make it hard. And then also, I mean, you have the Rockets. If the Rockets somehow fight back and win, Alperen Sengun, we're seeing him completely destroy the Warriors in this series. Imagine what he'd do against the Lakers. He'd destroy them too.
No, he'd have a field day. Have a field day against that Lakers. They just cannot defend big. I mean, they don't have anyone to defend big. That's the big problem.
No, and that's why when everybody was hot on the Lakers, to me, I know that with Luka and LeBron, you can't count them out, but they don't have other options. They don't have other blue collar players. I mean, Dorian Finney-Smith, I love DFS very, very much, but he's not making that offensive impact you need him. You need him to just hit threes, and you need him to do a little more. You need someone else with size that's not LeBron James to attack that basket. And something else, let's not forget, because we missed a parlay because of this happening. The Wolves kind of took Luka out of the equation for a little bit last game. And I don't want to forget about that, man. Like, the Wolves, I don't want to say figured out Luka Doncic, but they were able to somewhat limit him, get the ball out of his hands. They attacked him defensively too. And that's why, even though the Lakers are favored, I can't count out the Wolves, man. I think the Wolves, if they do and execute the same game plan in attacking Luka and really just tiring him out a little bit, which they did, they're going to win this series tonight.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, we can't forget, like, they're a good defensive team. Like, they're a good defensive team. They figure things out. And like you mentioned, you're never going to completely shut down a player like Luka. But if you limit him, right, and you contain him, and maybe get 50 to 60% of the usual production that he gives out, you're winning there. Like, you're winning. And I think that's what the Timberwolves can and potentially will do tonight. I still think I want to see this series go at least one more game.
I do too, from a fan standpoint.
Yeah, it's been a really fun series, to be honest. So I still think I think the Lakers will figure it out right tonight, but I do think it'll be a close game. And then in 6, I got Minnesota in 6 here.
So tell me who else from this Minnesota Lakers game that you would go with me. For me, here's who I have. Again, it's a 2-game slate. My priorities for the Lakers, I'm not being cute or anything like that. It's their 2 big names with LeBron and Luka, and it's Austin Reeves, who's been playing a little bit better as a point of differential. On the other side, though, with Minnesota, I mean, yeah, you look at Anthony Edwards, but for me, there might be a chance, I'm saying there's a chance, that both, not one, but both Jaden McDaniels and Julius Randle are in my core. At least one of them, possibly both tonight. What do you think?
Yeah, I like both of them. Julius Randle really pops up as a great point per dollar play, 7,100 on DK. You look at the last 3 games, 41, 35, 45 DK points, just really dominating here, over 20 points in each of those games, grabbing rebounds, giving you steals, giving you assists, just kind of filling up the stat sheet. I think that continues here. I think he's underpriced. I agree with you, Jaden McDaniels there, 5,800. I think that's a good price point. I'm going to be rostering. I'm going to try to go. So I am going to try to get Anthony Edwards in. I'm going to try to figure something out because I do like the idea of like kind of stacking this game and putting Anthony Edwards, Julius Randle, and then running it back with LeBron and Reeves. I love that Reeves call. He's been giving you pretty much 5x every game now, and I think that's what you're going to get. It's chalky, but I'm okay with it. So yeah, if I end up getting a third Timberwolves, I think McDaniels would be that guy. Like that's kind of where I have it. I have Julius Randle, Edwards, McDaniels. That's how I have those three. And then Divichenko, right? Like I think we have to go with him. I think that's a pretty strong value play. And I was going to ask you
might
about
be one of the best value plays on the board, Armando.
I think so. I think so. Like he grades out incredible. Like what 20? What do you think? 27, 28 minutes tonight minimum.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe the 30s at 4,800. He's averaging what? I'll point. Let me pull up the numbers. But he's averaging close to a fantasy point per minute.
Right.
You're gonna get what 5-6x here on a normal night for him.
And he's been playing good defense, and that should keep his minutes up. I mean, you're seeing it with the steals. I mean, he kind of got saved by the steals, but look, good points, double-digit shots in both. Immediately, sub-5K player getting double-digit shots. I like that, and I possibly even look at the betting market for it as well, because double-digit shots for 10.5 points, 11.5 points. Armando, that is something in betting, and I know that you kind of dip your toe in betting. You're kind of in and out. You're in Florida. F the Hard Rock odds, man. I hate them so terrible. Goddamn much. And if like they're so freaking awful, my friend sends me them, and I tell him not to bet. They are so freaking awful. Anyone that's in Florida that has to deal with that, dude, I hope FanDuel and DraftKings become legalized there soon, because those Hard Rock odds are horrible.
They are. And I can't wait till the day that happens. It's going to happen. I know it will.
I can't wait. The day that happens, man, you're going to be $600 richer, man, because FanDuel's going to give you $300 in bonus bets instantly. DraftKings will give you $300 bonus bets. Oh, they'll be like, hey, here's a free bet. Max it up to 50. Yeah. Luka Doncic just has to score 12 points. And then they want to keep you. They want to keep you playing. Dude, it's like freaking going to Willy Wonka's chocolate factory the day that FanDuel and DraftKings get legalized in your state.
Oh, absolutely. It's going to be fun. It's going to be like walking in a toy store as a kid, right? Like it's like, yeah. No, and I would also be more active in the Discord with bets, because quite frankly, I don't like to suggest anything. If I'm not putting my money on it, I don't like to suggest. That's my mentality. Like, so sometimes if I find something in the Hard Rock, I'm like, all right, I like this one, but they don't give you great odds most of the night. So it's very difficult for me. Like if I find something at Hard Rock and then I shop it around elsewhere, like, and then that's kind of the advice I give. But I don't like telling someone, hey, do this if I'm not doing it. That's just my mentality.
And that's how I do it too. I don't put out bets that I'm not betting. The bets that I put out, I'm absolutely putting money on the line, even if you'll see out there for everybody that if I'm putting out during those cold streaks, I'm going to start to go a little bit lighter. And you could do your own research. And that's the thing, Armando. And we both were very big on this. And that's with our DFS content, making sure it's not just a list of players and say in Discord and that's it. It's writing the analysis so that people from the betting side of it as well can take the little tidbits and use it. And I know we've had a few subscribers use that analysis to come up with bets or even better parlays that are altered.
Yeah. We've seen it several times. And sometimes sometimes you might not core a player, but you write something about that player that everyone knows you like that player a lot. He just didn't make the core. Core is only 4 players, so you're really getting your top 4 players, but that guy might be your 5th. Reading the article, you really know with that content, like who you like more than others. Like, that there's some players you're more aggressive on than others simply by reading the content.
Yeah, absolutely. And yesterday, I was very into, maybe not even a core player, but Derek White. I thought Derek White, who had seen strong shot volume, more time with the ball, I thought that he was going to go over not only his assists, but his points plus assists. He barely shot, but he just went over the assist mark. So we were able to hit on that last night. So the fun never stops there. But let's talk a little bit more about the Warriors and the Rockets here, because in this game, from the Houston side of it, outside of Sengun, I've found it very difficult to put trust into anyone outside of Sengun, and even Steven Adams, who with 15 minutes has proven that he could do a lot.
He's a good point per minute guy, isn't he? So this is not a team I'm trusting all that much, right? I think that you can take advantage of some of the price points here, but trust and taking advantage of price points are two different things. I don't trust Van Vliet. I don't trust Thompson, but those are good prices. I don't even trust Green. But these are, the potential GPP winners for you, right? You just understand that the floor is very low. Because if they have a ceiling game, they're going to give you anywhere between 8 and 9x. Like you can potentially get from some of those players, given their price, like 5,700, for Van Vliet. If he has a 48, 50 DK point game in him, like that is possible. Do I expect it? No, but that is possible. If he does that at 5,700, it could be a slate winning, performance for him. So that's how I view these Houston players. I agree. You look at Sengun, he's been very consistent. Adams, yes, he's been consistent. I still view him as a risk given just the minutes he's playing, right? Like it's difficult.
And I feel like everyone's going to go after him tonight too, because he's so cheap, and they're going to think that it's a big point of differential and everyone's going to be on him. Maybe that's where we redirect people more to DiVincenzo.
Yeah, well, I think he can play both, but yes, I agree. I think that he's going to be a very popular. It's difficult, right, to not be interested. He's 30. Let me see. He's 36 or 37, right? 3,600. He's giving you 20 plus, DK points in back-to-back games 4 times. 3 of 4 games here. He's played 19, 16, 18, 26. He played 26 minutes last game. That's interesting.
And Jock Landale, who came back from injury, didn't supplant him at all. So he still has that backup role.
Correct. So it's tough to make a case not to play him and not view him as a strong value play. But this is where I think, like, if you're trying to get Edwards and LeBron James in, like someone like, like Adams makes a lot of sense. You got Adams, you got Sengun. I was going to try to pick your brain, but we moved out to this game. But I wanted to pick your brain about Hachimura at his price point, sub 5K. Like, you're going to get high minutes. I do think he's a volatile play, but he's going to allow you to fit in at least. You can even fit in maybe Sengun. I haven't tried, but maybe you can fit in Sengun, Edwards, and LeBron if you're playing Adams, DiVincenzo, and Hachimura.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. I haven't tried yet, but
I mean, the thing with Hachimura is he's just so, I know he grabs a few rebounds. He's just so scoring dependent and everything. And I guess you could say the same thing about DiVincenzo as well. But look, elimination game, the Lakers are going to they don't have that much talent to mess with. So Luka getting limited, they're going to go to Hachimura again. If I'm Minnesota, I don't know why I would change the defensive game plan. Good. Let Hachimura shoot 16 shots, 13 of them open. Not going to make a difference if Luka isn't playing at his full potential and hitting his mark. I mean, so I guess in a way, Armando, you've convinced me that there's a fourth Lakers option that I'm probably going to now include in the write-up because, I mean, look, 2 of 4 games he's given solid returns. Last game he shot 16 shots. The Lakers know that at this point that he's coming off a 56% shooting game. They're probably going to go back to him a good amount, being that their backs are against the wall.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you right there. So for me, yeah, I think you can definitely go there. I think he's a value play. You have several. There's one in Golden State I wanted to pick your brain about as well.
I know who you're going to say. I know who you're going to say.
Buddy Hield.
Buddy Hield. I thought you were going to ask me about Quentin Post.
No. Well, we could talk about him too, but I wanted to get your thoughts on Buddy Hield.
I like Buddy Hield tonight. I mean, again, we're seeing the shot volume, and he's not shooting amazingly, but beyond the shot volume, we're seeing the defense from him too, and that defense is going to keep him in games. And you saw and you read the comments about Jimmy Butler getting on him when Jimmy Butler was out and everything. Yeah. There's something there, though. I don't know if that Buddy Hield is maybe learning a little bit from Jimmy Butler, but from comments I've seen even before since Jimmy Butler's arriving, there's some kind of rapport there. And I'm seeing Buddy Hield on the court be a little bit more aware of who's around him trying to screen him off the ball, who's going in the corner. And that's going to keep him playing at more minutes. I mean, look, even with Jimmy Butler playing, I mean, you're seeing him still play 30 minutes. So
he started last game.
Yes,
he started last
exactly.
Game.
So
he played 29 minutes the game before. So he's kind of been
I think the Warriors keep him involved.
If he's starting again at 4K, I think you could pencil him in for like about 28, 29 minutes. And you don't need all that much at 4K.
No.
Like we've discovered throughout the show, we've discovered 4 value plays we like, or at least I like. I don't know if you like Buddy Hield that much, but I think at 4K he makes some sense.
I like Buddy Hield. For me, already written down on my write-up was Buddy Hield and DiVincenzo. And then I, of course, am going to have Steven Adams and Quentin Post as well. Somebody else who can help with the spacing. The Warriors don't opt for a lot of spacing anymore or as much. They do a little bit with Draymond Green, but he's hanging in the post. Quentin Post can back it up a little bit. And so that's someone that if you're looking for a cheapie but low ceiling, Quentin Post is somebody else that can maybe hit you 5X there on the mark. But some of these other guys like Buddy Hield and Hachimura and Dante DiVincenzo, they have the bigger ceilings of those value plays.
Yeah, I agree. And I think Post is a very solid pivot off of Adams. I think Adams is going to be more popular.
Yes.
I think Post is a solid pivot. I think they give you the same. I think Post gives you maybe a more stable floor.
Right.
With Adams giving you maybe a slightly higher ceiling, but not much. I don't think it's all that much. So I like that call right there.
Yeah, I think Post maybe beats you on the minutes, and it's very close to me with both of them. I thought when Jimmy Butler came back, I thought that was it for Quentin Post, but Quentin Post still was able to make an impact. So that proved to me that maybe he's earned himself some playing time. Steve Kerr is very loose with that.
Yeah.
So it's not Tom Thibodeau. It's not Miles McBride scores 20 points. All of a sudden, he's going to be playing 33 minutes the next game. No, that's not how it works. It's with Steve Kerr, he's going to go with the hot hand in this series, especially because Houston is that damn good of a defensive team. And they know they have Houston on the ropes because Houston has been playing a little bit quicker than what we've seen. They've been playing up to the Warriors' pace. And when you see that, kind of like what I mentioned before in the stream with the Knicks and Detroit there, you're seeing who essentially in these games has more control. Detroit in that series, and certainly the Warriors in this Rockets series. I want to ask you about one more player from the Warrior side. Brandon Podziemski. I mean, he's 6K, mid-priced guy. I don't think because with Jimmy Butler in there, he has a massively high ceiling, but he is coming off a strong scoring game. We've seen him rebound a little bit in some of these games. Any interest, or because of the price, he's just kind of met to you?
I'm okay with him. I'm not overly interested. I don't know how much exposure I'll have because I think he fits more of a balanced roster construction versus kind of what I've discussed today. Like I think a more stars and scrubs approach for me is how I'm going to go about it. But I think he's okay. I prefer taking a chance on Van Vliet at 5,700.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
gotcha. You know he'll get the shots at least.
Correct. Like, and I feel like he could do a little bit more of other, fill in the stat sheet a little bit more than Pod.
Yeah, I hear you. And then Steph Curry was kind of like, I don't want to say the shine is simmering a little bit, but last couple of games, the returns haven't been great. I'd almost rather opt to go with not 100% Jimmy Butler if I'm going to be spending up for the Warriors tonight. So that to me is where I'm going with the Warriors. Armando, though, stop with the basketball, okay? Stop making me talk basketball, all right? I don't like it. And you always do this to me, and it really pisses me off.
Sorry.
Just stop making me talk basketball. We got to talk football, okay? Is that okay with you?
Yes.
Yeesh.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
All right, man. Well, let's talk football here. I know. He knows I'm kidding. I love both very, very much. But Ashton Genty, I saw someone in a mock draft full of fantasy sports analysts take this guy in the middle of the first round of a fantasy football draft. Dude, I don't know how exactly you feel. I know you probably spoke about it with Ray yesterday, how you feel about the fit with him in Vegas. But, dude, is this a first-round caliber fantasy talent here?
I think it is.
Wow.
I truly think it is. I'm okay with that. I think you're going to see him go as early as top 5 in some drafts. I view him as a top 12 pick. I have him as a top 5 running back right now. Like, you're going to the Raiders. You have Pete Carroll there. I think you have a pretty solid foundation. Their offensive line is rock solid. I'm expecting a floor of 300 opportunities immediately right off the bat for the rookies. So I'm chasing these opportunities, and I think he's going to make the best of those opportunities. So you look at this backfield, right? There's there's no competition back there. It's zero. This young man, I think, is going to walk into an abundance of opportunities.
Well, I'm going to give you some names. You tell me if you would take Ashton Genty over these guys, okay? You ready for this exercise?
Let's do it. All
right. Jamar Chase. Bijan Robinson. Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, Justin Jefferson.
Okay. Saquon Barkley. Jahmyr Gibbs.
That's so close. I'm going to go with Gibbs.
Okay, but it's very, very close.
Yes.
What about Amon-Ra St. Brown?
I would take Amon-Ra St. Brown over Gibbs.
Okay. Well, what about, and obviously over Genty. Yeah. What about CeeDee Lamb?
Genty.
Okay, so Genty over him. Yeah. And then final couple of guys, Malik Neighbors.
For me, I'm going to say Neighbors, but I really want to see what happens with the quarterback situation there, right? Because if it's Russell Wilson, I'm less inclined. I'd probably go Genty. If it's Winston, I'm going to go Neighbors, because I feel like at that point you're getting 15 targets a game, and because he's going to lock in on him. I don't expect Dart to be the day one starter, so that's why I didn't name him. So it's really between, but it's very close. I think it's very close. So we'll go Neighbors, but it's if I do 50 drafts, I'd probably do it 25 and 25, exactly how I would do it.
So there are about 6 or 7 guys that you take before Genty. You're taking Genty in the first round. And look, there are some talents that can match that potential too. I've always just shied away from it, man. And maybe it's something that I have to improve on. It's hard for me to justify taking unproven talent at the professional level and investing a first round pick in there when I have guys like CeeDee Lamb even still on the board.
No, it is. It's you're taking somewhat of a risk, right? Because at the end of the day, you don't know how this.
And they must pay off. To me, I'm sorry, Armando. If I'm taking him in the first round, him paying off third round value compared to the running backs going there, that doesn't impress me one bit. Like, if I'm taking this guy, I'm expecting first round return.
So he has to be a top 12 player, right? Outside of the quarterback position, like he has to be a top 12 player. And there's no really, in order for that to be a good return on investment, that's what so if you draft him 7th and he ends up 12th, that's fine. Like, that's not going to be a deal breaker for you. But if you draft him 7th or 8th and he ends, 36, 35, 30, that's not a good return on investment. So you're right. For me, I'm with you, man. I generally don't love the idea of, investing early draft capital. Like, for instance, last year, Marvin Harrison Jr., right. I wasn't investing him at his price point. I actually had a little bit more Malik Neighbors because when their initial drafts were going on, Neighbors was a little bit or a couple rounds cheaper than Harrison. I think eventually at the end of this, as things got closer, it was a little bit closer of a gap. But I don't like using early round capital on rookies. But I see Genty as someone who's going to step into a massive role right off the bat. And given his talents and how special of a player he is at the position, with that kind of, potential usage, I see a huge season, for him as a rookie. I see a potentially huge season for him as a rookie.
Do you like the line that he's being
protected? I think it's a solid line. Yes, I think it is a solid offensive line.
Final player I want to ask you about here, Omarion Hampton. I mean, he's now going to the Chargers, and we know that the Chargers is going to be run. But at the same time, you also have Najee Harris there. We talk about Genty, why he's going where he's going, opportunities to be the 3-down back. Used to be most of the running backs. You had 20 guys that were 3-down backs. That's not the case anymore. I'm seeing, and there's a very small sample size, but I'm seeing Omarion Hampton go in 12-team mocks as a 5th-round pick, even early 6th-round pick. I mean, dude, how do you expect the carries to be divided between Najee and this guy?
So I think it'll be a situation where you could see some form of committee early on, and then I could see where Hampton runs away with with the majority of the opportunities as the season progresses. We kind of saw that with Bucky Irving last year in Tampa Bay. They kind of started out, and then he started dominating the opportunities. I think we could see a very similar scenario where they start off with Harris and Hampton. They're sharing the ball. Maybe Harris getting the higher end of the percentages. And then as the season progresses, we could see, someone like Hampton. We've seen Harris and we kind of see what he is. I think we know what kind of running back. He's a volume running back, right? That he really is not overly explosive. He's not going to, break and get you chunk yardage on a consistent basis. At least that's what he's shown us right now in the NFL. So I think, when you see Hampton, I do think he'll get those explosive plays. I do think he'll get those big, chunk yardage. So for me, I do think he's going to, kind of be that guy for them. But I do think you're going to see an early committee. So if you're drafting Hampton, I would be patient with Hampton, right? It's not one of those running backs that you'd say, oh, he's not getting 18 opportunities in the first 2 weeks. Let me drop him. No, don't do that. Like, it's one of those situations where you kind of let it play out. He'll be involved. He'll get his opportunities, but early on, it could be a very, very good committee there.
That sounds like a must handcuff situation. Right?
Yes, 100%.
So you're investing 2 top 100 picks into this Chargers backfield, which I'm okay doing at that point. And the more hype around Hampton, Najee's going to start to falter a little bit. And for those that are probably drafting in early August, as opposed to those drafting that first week of September, they could be at a little bit more of an advantage to spend maybe an outside 100 pick for Najee. But I mean, from the little I've seen, Najee's going right there at that 100 mark. So that's why we talk about it all the time. Jeff talks about it all the time. And I don't know where you stand with this, Armando, but I'm very big into handcuffing. I don't view handcuffs necessarily as wasted space on your bench.
It all depends on the handcuff for me. But yes, I think this is a perfect example of must handcuff situation, right? Because you got to expect some form of committee. And if one running back goes down, I would anticipate the other will assume the majority of the workload. Like, it's not one of those situations where if one running back were to miss any time, you're going to continue to see a committee. I do think Harris or Hampton would assume the majority of the workload there if either back misses. So I look at this backfield as a definite handcuff situation, because that running back behind him is going to get those opportunities.
What do you got coming up on the site, Armando, especially if anything from the football front of it? I know that you're always talking about it on your Mind of Marsal podcast, also on the Elite Plus Network.
Yeah, we got our staff post-draft rookie rankings going to be going live today, later this afternoon. So keep an eye out for those. We got the podcast like you mentioned, and just so much more content coming up. That draft guide right around the corner, a couple of months away. So we're prepared for that and getting ready for more NFL content there.
Absolutely. Again, the Mind of Marsal, Armando does a great job going into the numbers. And also, Armando, if you follow him on various social media platforms, especially on X, at Armando_Marsal, you'll see the results he has and his skate park of an arm with all the muscles, and it'll make you want to run through a wall and make you want to be able to get fit in the gym, because that's what you got to do. It's a mental sweat, but to get your grind right, you got to get that mind right, and that's exactly what Armando does. That's why it's the Mind of Marsal. Did you get that title from Mind of Mencia?
No, I did not. I did not. I did not. I did not. I was
watching something on Carlos Mencia, and then I saw his show or special was Mind of Mencia, and I'm like, oh, I wonder if Armando got his podcast.
I didn't even know that, but no, that's funny. I'm gonna have to Google that. I didn't know that.
Yes. So there you go for those that love their comedians out there. Anyway, you can catch me tonight on Elite Sports Game Time, 8 p.m. Eastern, with Ray Flowers. Ray will also be on with the Elite Sports Show with Jeff Mans today, 3 p.m. Eastern. He'll be back tomorrow on this show, noon Eastern. And to make things even more confusing with the schedule, I will be on Sirius XM tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern, talking all things NBA. Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern as well. For Armando Marsal, I'm Justin Fensterman. Make sure you become part of the Elite Mafia by going to fantasyguru.com. Let's continue the winning. The winning never stops here on Fantasy Sports Daily on the Elite Plus Network, powered by fantasyguru.com.